What's up, guys? Welcome back to Yuko. Today we've got the hotly anticipated, the big, the bad, the fast F22 Pro by Kingsong. Today we're going to be taking a first look at it and let you know what you guys think.
We're going to let you know what you think about this wheel.
We're going to tell you what you believe.
No, it was good until that point.
I thought it got better and better. This wheel has the highest voltage of any wheel offered yet to date. It has a 176.4 volt architecture with a smart BMS. Really, that unlocks the full potential of the C38 motor, as well as ups the charging speed. The charger that they include pulls a massive amount of power. It's a 10 amp charger, and there's still 2 charging ports on here. With one charger, you're gonna be able to pump up the full 3,100 watt hours in 2 to 3 hours, which is really, really impressive.
Our ride yesterday gave us a pretty good idea on what you might expect for real-world battery results. We rode about 15 to 20 miles right in between there. That's including the acceleration tests we were doing, going uphill, going downhill. We started at 100%, we ended up at 66%. So extrapolating that out, real-world you might see somewhere between 50 to 70 miles.
It has a 5,500 watt motor, maxes out at 12,000 watts of power. It'll take you up to a rideable speed of around 60 miles an hour. So this thing's fast. It's heavy too.
This wheel comes in at a whopping 106 pounds.
There are 2 suspension tubes on either side. That's a total of 4 stanchions, each of which has dampening and preload adjustability. As soon as you step on and you start to accelerate, you're gonna notice how smooth this new motherboard is.
Let's talk about some of the features. Probably the most interesting standout feature that I haven't seen on another electric unicycle so far is that it uses the Apple Find My network, just like you might have with an AirTag or another one of your Apple devices.
Perhaps this is more weather sealed than even some of the other weather sealed options on the market. It is rated for IPX6 for dust and moisture, which is very, very good. You're gonna be able to take this wherever you wanna go. It's got a very bright tilting headlight.
A familiar sight on the F22 is the 16 by 16 dot matrix display featured in the S22 as well as the S16 Pro.
It's got a little RGB light strip in the back here. It's gonna give you some nice textured light effects. It's got a speaker. Apparently has a 20 watt driver in there, pretty loud. It does fire to the back though, so it's a little hard to hear while riding. It's got a built-in kickstand, mudguard,
a all Velcro side, which allows you to place these included pads wherever you want, or pads of your choice with a Velcro back, as well as a nice set of spiked pedals.
These handles are solidly mounted with 6 screws each. That's crazy. Solid metal, so if this is involved in a crash, you know that you're still gonna be able to pick this up and that the body of the wheel is protected.
The F22 has a built-in trolley handle, which is big, beefy, sturdy. It's maybe a little tough to pull in and out, but a big pro of that is that this is not gonna pop out in the situation of a crash. It is in there.
Now we're gonna move on to maybe the most important part, the riding impressions.
I have a feeling that we might do a little bit of a good cop, bad cop here. I think coming into this, we were both aware that a big wheel like this is not exactly either of our style or preference. I think we came away with maybe one of us having that theory reinforced and maybe one of us having a differing opinion on that. So why don't you make the big reveal and talk about what you feel about the wheel?
I feel like for both of our riding styles, we prefer generally a smaller wheel, but we were able to take it up over to Lake Castaic above LA, and I really feel like it shined on those roads. There were some really nice banks and really nice turns. I feel like I've never been able to push a wheel like I was able to push on those roads before, and that was incredibly confidence inspiring. We were riding that side by side with the InMotion V14, which I also popped on for a lot of those roads, and there's just something different. You're propped up in a different kind of way. You're a little higher off the ground. I will say that the pedal clearance is really, really good, and I felt like I was able to Superman into these turns and really just like push until I felt like if I leaned any further, I'd be kicked off the wheel. Big plus to the speed, the acceleration is nuts. I felt like it handled really nice. If there was one complaint I had about it, it does not taper at all. By the time it tapers up here, my knees are landing around here. You have to keep a wide stance. You have to keep your toes towards the outer edges of those pedals. While I feel like it wasn't quite as top heavy as some of Kingsong's other recent wheels, because this this thing is so wide, it does have a tendency to kind of topple. You have a little less control. I'm sure a lot of that will be down to time spent with the wheel.
There's definitely a reality where this wheel could have felt a lot more top heavy than it does. I think that's a big plus from it, because that would be the biggest concern, is that it is just so ready to go left or right. I almost wish it went further in that direction and that it was even more bottom heavy, and I think that could have been accomplished through what you were talking about as far as having it taper off a bit more. The first time that I got on the wheel is like, wow, this is really tall and I have to have my legs really wide. This is the closest to horseback riding I've ever felt riding an electric unicycle. When I'm standing on this, and this might be a good reference point for you, I'm about 5'6". My knees, the way that they're lining up with it, not my most comfortable riding experience, especially for how big and how heavy it is. It kind of felt a little bit like when I first got on an electric unicycle, and that feeling of like, wow, the inside of my shins really hurt. It's kind of like that, just creeping further and further up your leg to the point like, yeah, even touching this from going on that big ride yesterday, I've got some soreness here for sure. So getting on a wheel this large, you should expect to work on some new muscles, some new parts of your leg that you maybe haven't before. You know, it's undeniable. This thing is about 80% of my body weight. So pushing this around, it's probably not the most ideal wheel for me to ride on personally.
I'm about 6 foot, so a lot of that is definitely down to just like how much leverage you get over the wheel. You know, when you're leaning forward, when you're leaning left or right, you get a bigger lever force on the wheel, and this is a significant portion of my mass as well, no doubt about it, but maybe I had a better time because of that. The other thing I'll say is we never got close to maxing this wheel out, over torquing it at any point. I felt like I was really leaning into acceleration on those acceleration tests. I was hitting around between 40 and 45 miles an hour, and beyond that, I would really have to push like into these pads. These would have to be pushed forward, and I would have to keep going. And at that point, I'm sure there's speed demons out there that will reach those speeds and push beyond that, but you're moving quick. This is a lot of vehicle. Please make sure you're wearing your proper safety gear when you're riding this wheel and other wheels like it. You know, one more comparison I definitely want to draw, just because I've ridden that wheel before and there's a few likenesses, is the V13 Adventure from InMotion. That wheel is even heavier and I believe even a little bit bigger. Maybe not quite as wide, but I felt like the acceleration and braking capabilities of this wheel were better than that of the V13. Maybe this was a little more maneuverable than the V13, but the V13 is very stable. That's not to say this isn't stable. There's a lot of weight that's keeping you down, but the V13 I was also able to handle maybe even a little bit better at low speeds. I don't know, it's hard to say. I'd say that the riding characteristics are very similar, so if you're curious and have a V13 available near you, maybe you could try that.
That is pretty much going to sum up our first impressions for the Kingsong F22. If you want to pick one up for yourself, you know what to do. Head to uco.us or check out that link in the description. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching this beast of a wheel.